Okay. So hello po, ito po yung review session for IA142 for LE2. So ang magiging content lang ng video na to is we will just answer 4 problems taken from the quizzes. And then since may answer na po yung quizzes na to, we'll focus sa explanations and if there are possible shortcuts or tricks na we could use for answering those problems. And that if you want more simplexes or quizzes, you could access it sa Rainbox. And while you're doing that, you could also try to answer na rin yung feedback form so that may comments na for the Rainbox, no? So, ayun. Uh, Before we start, no, I'll just show yung problems na we'll solve. So, for this is the first problem. As you can see, meron na rin siyang solution and konting explanation. This is the first problem. The second problem, it's also a modeling problem. Nandito na rin yung sagot. Next is problem 3. May solving na siya, no? Pero nandito rin yung sagot. Then for problem 4, taken from another quiz. But yes, may sagot na rin siya sa Rainbox. Okay? So, just for reference lang, 'di ba? Na may sagot na sila. With that, we could start with problem 1. So, I'll read the problem muna. The Toys R for You company has developed two new toys for possible inclusion in its product line for the upcoming Christmas season. Setting up the production facilities to begin production would cost $50,000 for Toy 1 and $80,000 for Toy 2. Once these costs are covered, the toys would generate a unit profit of $10 for Toy 1 and $15 for Toy 2. So the company has two factories that are capable of producing these toys. However, to avoid doubling the startup costs, we are limited to just one factory to use, where the choice would be based on maximizing the profit. For administrative reasons, the same factory would be used for both new toys if both are produced. Toy 1 can be produced at the rate of 50 per hour in Factory 1 and 40 per hour in Factory 2. Toy 2 can be produced at the rate of 40 per hour in Factory 1 and 25 per hour in Factory 2. So Factory 1 and 2 respectively have 500 hours and 700 hours of production time available before Christmas that could be used to produce these toys. So it is not known whether these two toys would be continued after Christmas. Therefore, the problem is to determine how many units, if any, of each new toy should be produced before Christmas to maximize the total profit. So, we're tasked to formulate yung model, no? Pero essentially, sinasabi niya lang, we want to maximize the profit. Ano yung factors affecting that? So, ang factors na mag-affect dyan is kung anong factory gagamitin mo, anong toy yung iproproduce mo, and how many for each toy or for said toy yung iproproduce mo. So, essentially, there are three factors. Number of units produced, which toy ay to be made, and which one factory among the two yung gagamitin. So, as you can see, no, it's an MILP, which means na meron ditong integer or variable here na gamitin natin ng integer. And we could see, wait, mamaya na yan. We could see na, let's try to model muna yung first factor, no, the number of units produced per toy I. So, hindi siya pwedeng maging continuous or may decimal. So, dapat integer siya, di ba? Kasi wala namang kalahating toy. So, we model it as an integer that is greater than or equal to 0. And if we want to model yung profits, we just have to take into account yung unit profit for each toy, no? So, for toy 1, that's $10, $15 for toy 2. Kailangan pa ba natin tong 50,000 and 80,000 dollar cost? Hindi na, no? Kasi these costs are already covered when they talk about yung unit profit generation. So, since yung profit is just revenue minus cost, no need to take into account yung cost for here. So, this part makes sense. We just put yung coefficient ng unit profit for the given toy. So, that's the one factor done. Ano naman yung second factor, which is anong toy yung produce. So, kailangan natin ng indicator, no? If we want to know if toy 1 would be produced or if toy 2 would be produced. So we could model it as a binary uh, variable here. Kasi dalawang choices lang naman siya eh. Either you produce it or not. So we could set it as either 1 or 0. So it could be the indicator if toy I will be produced. So second factor na consider na natin. The next na lang is yung factory. So as you can see, you are asked to choose one factory among the two. So essentially parang binary rin siya. Because you only have two choices. We could let Z as the indicator which factory will be used to produce the toy. So yung letters, it's arbitrary naman. Pero gets naman natin yung logic, no? Kung bakit binary C, Y at saka si Z. So ito yung definition part. I think okay na tayo dyan. Alright, so ito na yung definition natin. The next part is yung setting up the constraints. Now, one constraint is that if we say na hindi natin i-produce si toy I, dapat the number of units for toy I should be 0 as well. So that's why ito yung form ng constraint natin. Kasi when y1 or y2 is 0, matic that your x1 or x2 is 0 as well. Kasi that's the only value that x1 and x2 could take. So this constraint effectively considers yung limitations na if hindi if toy I is not to be produced, dapat 0 rin yung number of toy I to produce. But if yi is 1 or if we want to produce it, these two constraints effective becomes always true. So hindi na sila nagiging effective. Essentially, this only applies if we say na we don't want to produce toy I. So, gets naman this part of the constraint. The next is modeling yung factory R's. So, note na this is the number of toy I to produce. How do we model yung R's? So, note na for toy I, we say na yung rate niya is 50 units per hour for factory 1 and 40 units per hour for factory 2. So, to get the R is just to get yung units, yung x1, over the 50 units per hour. And from that, makukuha natin yung R's. So, ganun rin for factory 2. Since different yung rate, the number of toy I units o toy 1 units over the rate, which is 40 units per hour. So, to get the total number of R's. So, same logic lang rin siya for toy 2. So, ganun yun. Tama rin, no? Na 500 yung limitation for factory 1 and 700 for factory 2. Paano natin i-model yung we only have to choose one out of the two factories? So, we'll use an either or constraint. So, dito natin makikita or papasok yung Z, which is the indicator which factory will be used to produce the toy. And it makes sense naman, no? Kasi, for example, if Z is 1, mawawala to si M. Therefore, this constraint holds true, while this constraint will be effective, and this constraint will always be true, and therefore hindi na siya effective. Essentially, when you say Z is 1, you are essentially picking factory 1. When you say Z is 0, mawawala yung M for this second constraint, and yung sa first constraint naman, ma-activate mo si M, which means that this first constraint is no longer effective, and therefore, etong constraint lang yung mako-consider mo, essentially meaning na you're picking factory 2. Kasi yung constraint lang for factory 2, yung active. So with this, nandito na po yung constraints, nandito na yung specific constraints rin for or definitions for M, for what X ought to be, na dapat integer siya. Same with Y and Z as a binary. We'll just have to model these words into yung mas understandable format, which is here, no? So, yun nga, Xi is the number of toy I to be produced. Yi is yung indicator if said toy will be made. And then Z, as we've talked about, is yung indicator if or ng factory na gagamitan natin. So essentially, once you write it this way, you're done na. So that solves the problem 1 formulation. We could now move on sa problem 2. So I'll read lang rin. A real estate development firm, Peterson and Johnson, is considering 5 possible development projects. The following table shows the estimated long-run profit, net present value that each project would generate, as well as the amount of investment required to undertake the project in units of millions of dollars. So for this part lang no, we could already tell na we're trying to maximize yung profit. And we have 5 independent projects. We're trying to pick which one of them. Oh, hindi pala, hindi siya independent, sorry. Pero 5 projects siya and we have to pick which one of them yung gagamitin natin to maximize the profit. So, yun yung factor natin that could affect the profit. We could model that as a binary since nakalagay naman dito BIP. And essentially, ang choice lang naman natin is whether to use that product or whether to execute that project or hindi. So, kaya siya binary. So, we could model it as a binary using yi as the indicator if the project I is selected. So, when we're modeling the objective function of maximizing the profits, we just so let's put yung definition rin no na it's a binary, 'di ba? 1 if active selected, 0 if hindi. And if we're modeling the objective function, just multiply yung coefficient niya with the estimated profit for said project. So for example, project 3 1.6, kaya siya 1.6 times y sub 3. So yan na yung objective function natin. Now, etong part na to, second part ng problem, nandito na po papasok yung constraints. So for example, the owners of the firm, Dave Peterson and Ron Johnson, have raised $20 million of investment capital for these projects. Dave and Ron now want to select the combination of projects that will maximize their total estimated long-run profit, net present value without investing more than 20 million. So it's a profit maximization, pero they don't want to invest more than 20 million. So yan yung constraint. Just get yung project I multiplied by the capital required for each project, and it should be less than $20 million. So this constraint makes sense naman. But we also have 2 more constraints to take into account. Number 1, hindi sila independent. For this part, since there is only one sponsor for project 2 and 5, only one of these may be implemented. So, paano natin siya i-model? So, ang indicator natin is 1 if selected, 0 if hindi. So, for these 2 projects, since we only want or 1 lang yung pwede ma-select, therefore, the sum of the indicators for this should only be 1, 'di ba? At most, 'di ba? Only one of these may be selected. Kaya siya y2 plus y5 is less than or equal to 1. So, bakit meron pang less than? Kasi we also want to consider the possibility that none of them get selected. So, this is only true if either one of them is 1 or both of them are 0. And you could check naman if gumagana yung constraint mo by plugging in yung possible values. So, if both y's are 1, hindi siya gagana. Essentially, confirming yung constraint sa problem. So, that's the constraint for this. The last constraint is project 4 may only be chosen if project 3 is chosen due to other external factors. So, how would we model it? So, ang constraint dito is if project 3 is not chosen, project 4 cannot be chosen. So, the way we could say, para siyang kanina, no, na project 4 is less than or equal to project 3. So, bakit siya gumagana? If project 3 is 0, matik yung y4 mo, 0 na yan. There's no other possible values that it could take. So, this constraint holds true. But if y3 is 1 naman, or if pinili mo si y3, y4 could either be 1 or 0 as well. Kaya siya less than or equal. Equal, hindi lang siya equal kasi we want to consider the possibility na y4 is 0 even if y3 is 1. and it's less than or equal to ensure it na if zero si y3, hindi siya tataas doon, for example. Kasi nga, di napili si y3. So, dapat di rin mapili si y4. So, kaya this constraint holds true. So, essentially, that's the BIP model na you have the objective function, the definition, ito yung constraint, and then ito yung additional constraint rin sa baba nito. Alright, so that's for problem 2. Problem 3, so ito na yung medyo problem solving. So you have to solve the following binary integer problem using branch and bound method. Given this, three sets of technological constraints. So recall lang ano yung steps for branch and bound. So you have to rewrite yung objective function, rewrite the technological constraints based on the operations sa objective function, and then branch and bound. Pero let's try to understand ba't natin ginagawa yon. So, rewriting the OF, ito yung specific substeps. Take a look at the form of yung branch and bound natin, di ba? So, at first, infeasible siya. Lahat ng y values natin 0. And as we go down, more and more y values are activated or set to 1. So, ano yung implication, no? So, as we go down, the more variables are set to 1, and therefore, we expect na z increases. So, kaya natin siya ginagawang minimum problem. Kasi, this would explain why we thought that once we fathom and find a feasible solution, we stop. Kasi kapag minimum problem, diba? Once we already find yung feasible solution, and okay na yung, and may nakuha ka ng value, may nakuha ka ng value. Pero kasi natataas siya sa next levels eh. Since you only want the minimum possible value, hindi mo na itutuloy yun. Kaya there's a reason for you to stop. So, essentially, we want to find the set of variables that would give the minimum z that would satisfy the constraints. So, makes sense why we have to turn it into a minimum problem. So, ano namang yung these three parts? Anong para saan yan? So, given this sample objective function, i-order natin siya sa ascending absolute value, and lahat sila magiging positive. So, bakit lahat sila positive muna? So, remember, no? Ang form ng branch and bound is that the more you go down or the more levels that you explored, we expect na pataas ng pataas yung objective function value. If meron tayong negative variable, that won't work kasi that means na there's a branch possibly na once you explore, lalong bababa yung objective function. E di kung ganun, hindi ka na matatapos or it's hard for you to fathom. So, we have to make it positive for all coefficients para it makes sense na we stop once we found a feasible solution. Kasi we could say na since positive naman lahat ng coefficient, we expect that the z value would just increase, and since we're a minimization problem, stopping here makes sense na kaagad. So that's why kailangan positive siya. The second is that bakit siya ascending absolute value? Kasi that informs which variables yung isa-set natin to 1 the more we go down. So for example, ito, naka-order na siya based sa absolute value ng coefficients. So ang nauna po is si y2 kasi siya yung pinakamaliit. The next is y4 kasi siya yung mas maliit na coefficient value. So bakit ganun? Kasi, di ba, minimization problem. So, we want to find the set of variable values that would give us the smallest possible z that would also satisfy the constraint. So, we expect na the more we go down, we would probably satisfy yung constraint. Pero, since we're trying to make z as small as possible, we'll focus muna dun sa mga variables na maliit lang yung impact sa z or small lang yung coefficient. That's why sila yung inuuna natin. So as you can see, y2 na una, then sumunod y4. Then after this level, susunod yung y3. So bakit natin to diniscuss? Ano yung implication na to? Kasi when you're given this objective function value, what you can do is instead of manually substituting yung 1 minus y, you could just order it based on dun sa absolute function value. And then just palitan mo lang yung x with y, tas yung negative ng positive. Essentially, ito lang yung magiging end outcome. Lahat ng constants, hindi na siya take into consideration. Kasi their effect to z is just the same. Hindi siya nagbabago. So essentially, ito yung end goal natin when we perform this step. So let's apply it. We want to rewrite OF. So ito yung original minimization problem natin by just multiplying negative dito sa original objective function. So instead of trying to manually substitute yung 1 minus y, you could just palitan mo lang yung x with y and then all negatives with positive. So ito yun. Then order it. 'Di ba? So etong makukuha mo is just the same as manually substituting 1 minus y and removing the constant. So a bit of a shortcut, but you just have to take into account anong x values yung negative. So for this example, it's negative, so that's x1, 5, 7, and 8. Ninote lang natin siya dito since gagamitin natin siya sa technological constraints and when we're finding out yung z value of the original function. So alright, nandito na yung OF na rewrite na natin. Now, taking into account this note of variables on their substitution expressions, we'll just use that to rewrite the technological constraints. So, we magpa-plug in talaga tayo for all three constraints. So, makes sense naman, no? So, x2 is 1. So, palitan lang natin ng y2. So, 4y2. So, we do that for all three constraints. So, once we do this, so arithmetic, okay, we can now proceed to branch and bound. But, sometimes, kasi essentially what we're doing is, yun nga, yung goal natin, finding the minimum value that would satisfy the constraints. Sometimes, you could have an educated guess na kaagad which form or which set of variables yung kailangan mo i-activate. So, anong importance nun? Since if may clue ka na, anong branches yung need mo i-activate, parang may guide ka na which branch yung i-drawing mo, for example, or isa-solve mo. So, let's try to do paano natin makuha yung clue na yun, for example. So, for constraint 1, looking at it, ano yung possible y variables na kakailanganin natin to make this true? So, if y1 is 1, true siya, no? If y8 is true, masasatisfy natin yung constraint. Etong y6, pwede naman siya maging true kaso you have to activate another variable. And since ang goal nga natin is to find the minimum value, we want to satisfy these constraints with the least possible number of variables to activate or the least possible effect sa minimum value ng function natin. So for this instance, we could only consider y1 or y8. Same idea rin sa second constraint. So, masasatisfied siya if y1 is true or y2 and y3. Since if both of them are 1, it's negative 2. Or y2 and y6, y3 and y6. So, pwede rin naman siya maging true if y1, y2, y3, and y6 are true as well or are set to 1. But yun nga, we want to find the way to satisfy this with the least number of variables to activate or with the least impact sa objective function value. So that's why ito lang yung sinulat natin. Same thing here. Ito, straightforward. In order to satisfy this, you have to activate y2, y3, and y4. So yan lang yung only way for you to satisfy the third constraint. So from this point, we could infer na or make an educated guess na sa solution natin, dapat itong si y2, 3, and 4, 1 yan. Diba? So, nasatisfy mo si C3 by activating this. Looking back sa C2 at saka sa C1, ano yung mga set of variables na masasatisfy sa kanila? So, note na y2, y3, y4 yung kailangan natin. For the second constraint, di na natin kailangan ng pumili ng other variables. So, we want to parang choose nga yung least number of variables. So, we repeat yung y2 and y3. And then for dito, y1 or y8. So, for the first constraint, we'll add or we will activate another variable. Ano yung pipili natin dito? So, we choose y8 kasi if you look at the coefficients, 5 lang for y8. For y1, it's 8. So, meaning na when we activate y8, mas parang maliit na yung effect niya sa objective C function value compared to y1. So, we can infer that the solution would have y2, y3, y4, and y8 as equal to 1. So, in this instance, no, applicable siya kasi madali lang yung constraints. Plus, binary integer problem lang siya. So, madaling i-infer. So, not always applicable, pero when it does, it helps. Why? Kasi when you look at the branch and bound problem, diba? If you could use yung strategy ng depth first, no, you will explore each branches pa individually. If breadth first, you will try to explore yung per level, diba? So, matagal rin. And best bound, you will try to explore yung z value na may smallest value so far kasi yun yung most promising, diba? Pero since from kanina na-inform tayo or may clue na by activating y4, y2, y3, and y8 to 1, we know na what type of or what set of branches possibly yung parang optimal and feasible solution natin. And it makes sense naman, no? So, when you try to branch it, this solving yung respective z function value, you would see na for here, ito lang yung node na feasible siya. The rest are all infeasible, meaning hindi lahat ng constraints na satisfy niya. So, it makes sense, no? Yun lang naman sinasabi ko. So, for the first feasible solution, we could say na y4, y2, y3, and y8 have to be 1 in order for us to get the first feasible solution. And then, remember yung forms of substitution natin last time. So, x1 and x5, and x7 and x8 have the form 1 minus yi kasi negatives yung value nila nung minimization function. So, plugging in these values, ito yung makukuha natin. So, since y1 is 0, x1 is 1, tapos x8 is 0 kasi y8 is 1, 1 minus 1, 0. So, ito yung set of values. Now, we'll go back sa original function natin. We'll plug in all these values. So, that would be 8 minus 2 minus 4 minus 1 plus 6 plus 6. And that would result to 13. So, this set of values plus the values for z, yun na yung solution natin for this problem. So, yung takeaway lang is, yes, we will perform branch and bound. Pero once we understand yung process, parang there are ways to find clues ano yung possible branch yung promising or most likely gonna be part of the solution. So yun, that's for the third problem. We proceed with the last problem. So consider the multiple integer, the mixed integer linear programming. So we have to formulate the cutting planes and then solve the MILP. Alright. So, formulating the possible cutting planes. Ito daw yung formula natin. Pero, what does this mean, no? So, essentially, for all the slack variables plus the right-hand side, we want to get the decimal difference. And the way we do that is we get the value for said slack variable minus the floor for its value. So, for this instance, no? Kunwari si 0.5. Kunwari lang. 0.5, yan yung value. Ano yung floor niyan? That's 0. So, 0.5 minus 0, yun yung decimal difference. So, yan yung procedure. The next question is, anong source row yung pipiliin natin? So, in general, we pick yung row na may right-hand side that is farthest from being an integer. So, 0.1 is close to 0. So, it's close to being an integer. 0.9 is close to 1. So, it's close to being an integer. The farthest is usually kapag meron kang 0.5 na decimal place. And in this instance, they are equal naman. So, you could choose arbitrarily kahit kanino sa x1, x2, and x3 as your source row. Let's choose x1 for example. So, using this formula, so we're just getting the decimal difference now. 0.5 minus floor nila is 0. So, you get 0.5. And since equal naman siya for S1, S2, and S3, you'll get 0.5 for the slack variables. Take note lang dito sa right-hand side, no? So, 6.5, yung floor nito is 6. Therefore, ang magiging decimal difference niya is 0.5. Pero yung crucial difference is that for the slack variables, positive yung coefficient. Pero dito, it's negative. Bakit? Kasi, since right-hand side siya, we have to move it siya sa left, diba? Para kasama siya dito sa expression na to. Kaya siya may negative. So, evaluating it lang. Then, we move lahat ng slack variables to the left, kasama ni C1. Kaya siya nagkaroon ng negative. So, ano yung possible implication nito, no? So, look at the coefficients. It's negative 0.5, tas yung right-hand side mo, negative 0.5. Try mo sila i-add with the S1 to S3, pati yung right-hand side. So, 0.5 minus 0.5. Etong lahat na to, magiging 0. Ito, magiging integer. So, ba't natin ginawa yun? Kasi, di ba, 6.5 minus 0.5 is 6. So, ba't natin ginawa yun? Essentially, yung cutting plane yung nagmamodel ng decimal difference, and when we add yung cutting plane dun sa W, we're essentially removing that decimal difference para maging integer na si right-hand side. So, graphically, what does that look like? So, note na this is just for visualization purposes. Di talaga siya yung itsura nung graph. Kasi 3 dito eh. Kasi 3 yung decision variables. But, for example, ito yung optimal point mo. The cutting plane cuts off yung decimal difference so that, for example, from 6.5, naging 6, natatanggal yung botal na difference. Essentially, you're introducing a new constraint. So, kaya siya line, diba? So, yun lang yung logic for the cutting plane. Now, we could try to use the same formula for all of the possible source rows kasi we're modeling all of the possible cutting planes. And then, ito yung lalabas, no? So, quickly, negative 0.5, anong floor nito is negative 1. So, negative 0.5 minus negative 1, that is 0.5. So, the value for S1 is 0.5 as well. So, same thing lang rin here, since negative 0.5, itong parts ni x3, negative 0.5 minus its floor, it's negative 0.5 minus negative 1, that would be 0.5. and then once you move into the right hand side, it's negative 0.5. So, does this make sense rin? Yes, kasi if you try to add this cutting plane, so x3 for example, negative 0.5 plus negative 0.5, negative 1, negative 1, 0, tas ito, 0. So, nagiging integer siya, di ba? So, yun yung cutting plane natin. So, for part A, nasulat na natin yung cutting plane is the same for all possible source rows. We will now move on sa solving the MILP. So, for this instance, it's a dual simplex problem. What that means is that it's optimal pero hindi feasible. Bakit hindi feasible? Kasi yung right hand side niya merong negative value. So, to recall dual simplex, we just pick yung right hand side or the basic variable with the most negative right hand side, and that would be the C1, the cutting plane. So that would be negative 0.5. This is our leaving variable. Now, when deciding ano yung entering variable natin, we take into account yung leaving row coefficient. So, sa lahat ng leaving row coefficient, tatlo lang yung negative. So, tatlong ratios lang i-consider natin. So, ano yung ratios na yun? That would be the ratio between z and the coefficients of the leaving variable that are negative. So, this means 0 over negative 0.5, that's 0. 1 over negative 0.5 is negative 2. But since absolute value siya, we just write 2. And then for here, 2 divided by negative 0.5, that's 4. Negative 4, tapos absolute value, that is 4. Minimum natin ay 0, so ang entering variable natin is S1. So, at this part, once we put S1 dito, we will just perform Gaussian-Jordan elimination. Kasi ang goal natin is to set this into 1, then the rest of the entries sa column as 0. So that's why yung row operations natin is, for row 2, we just add yung row 5 para maging 0. For row 3 and row 4, we subtract yung values ni row 5 para maging 0 itong entries na to. And once we do that, for example, ito yung lalabas na tableau. So, to show lang, 4.5 minus negative 4.5 minus negative 0.5 is 5, kaya siya 5 dito. Alright, so it makes sense. Now, last part, kailangan 1 to, so we have to multiply the row 5 with negative 2, so magiging 1 siya. The last part is just making sure na itong value na to is 1. So that's why we have to multiply it by negative 2. And ito magiging result niya. So with this version of the tableau, we check if this is already feasible. And as we can see, wala na pong negative right hand side value. And therefore, we could say that this is already optimal and feasible. So now, we've already solved yung MILP. Nandito na yung basic variables, their corresponding values, and the corresponding value for Z. Okay? So yun lang naman for problems, for quizzes, from the quizzes. So if you have questions, clarifications, feel free to reach out sa amin. Okay, yun. Thank you.